And welcome to Talking Holy Texts. This show, I had started out to talk about inflammatory topics from the Bible, historical perspective, and I got to thinking, I don't know if I want to call him Paul or Dr. X. He's a member of my father's family, extended member, and I called upon him at difficult times in my life, or I've gone to his many works that are on the internet just for some inspiration, some solace, and he's just incredible. He has 2 doctorates. He's taught at a Baptist seminary in Armenia, in Haiti. He's taught in Serbia, Nicaragua, Costa Rica. He's a visiting professor for 2 small seminaries in the Amazon of Brazil. He's been the favorite and the teacher of the year. 5 years. He's been teacher of the year. In 5 years, he's been the favorite teacher. He's a beloved person. And I'm going to play a piece with his permission. It's a part of one of his sermons. And it's enhanced in certain areas with music. And it's a piece that I go to when things are not quite right and I feel alone and unloved. And perhaps you had felt alone and unloved at a different point in your life, or know someone that's struggling. This is a piece that I believe a person can feel very in touch with the words that my family member is saying. It makes a person feel loved. And I want to offer this to you because it's a gift. This is a gift. The knowledge this man has. I mean, it's just, wow, when I think of all the stuff he's done and his evangelism experience. I'm not a hypo-Christian. I hesitate to even say Christian. But I know that there's a power greater than myself in this world. They have isolated the God particle. And, there's some room for discussion here. Be you atheist, Christian, Muslim. I think we can all agree that love is a great force in the world or the universe. That people usually do things or accomplish events out of 2 major motivators, out of love or out of fear. And love cancels out all fear. And you can look to Hebrews 11, which is referred to as the faith chapter. By faith, Abraham. By faith, Isaac. It always starts by faith. Every phrase, every verse starts by faith. And you might as well say love. By love. Because if you're obedient, if you're faithful, there is love. And I think there's a lot of freedom in being obedient, by the way. I truly do. I do want to talk about when we look at the Bible to study it. I think what we have to do is emphasize the original author's intent. You can do this by the context of the chapter or piece of work, the history of that piece of work, word studies, looking at Greek and Aramaic, what was the original context of the word, such as meek. Now, when, as Americans, we hear the word meek, we usually think a weak person. But meek often is, from the Greek, it means power under control. Like, even though you're yelling at me, you're in my face, I am not going to react to that craziness of yours. I'm going to be power under control. Your actions are not going to dictate my reactions. I choose. That is what the true essence of meek means. When it says, blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the world. That's what it's talking about. I bet you never thought of it that way before, right? The reason why I think like this is because of Dr. X or Paul. I'm not for sure what I'm going to call him. I don't want him trolled, so. One moment. Excuse me, I had something caught in my throat. But so you got to look at context, history, word studies. You have to look at the grammar. I mean, one misplaced comma, and it's all over, you know. You got to look at the genre. And when I talk about the genre of the piece, like in the songs, there's 5 different types of songs. There's songs for special events, and you'll usually see them labeled at the top of the song. A lamentation, praise. You know, there's 5 different types. So that's what they mean by genre. What type of writing is this? Is this a letter to exhort? That's another exhortation. It's another, song. And then finally, when we're studying the Bible or a holy text, we need to look at parallel passages. So, a lot of this information I've gotten from this man, you know, as far as growing up. I myself almost went into theology at a Christian university. I had a scholarship to go to the Canadian Nazarene College up in Winnipeg, and it was just too cold for me up there. My master's would have been over in England in a castle. But I chose a different path, and I decided that theology was not the choice for me. But I've always had an affinity for it. Always had an affinity. So what I'm about to play is entitled, God Cares for Me. And he is a member of my family. And this piece I have gone to, it's on the internet. This piece I've gone to when my heart has been aching and I feel alone or different from the rest. To know that there's someone out there or a force greater than myself that would focus on me. That just meant the world. And the way that he says this would bring it all back to me. And is my wish, my hope, my intent that this will help someone out there. So if you want to share this with somebody as a hopeful and helpful piece of work, I hope that you do this. It's about an 8-minute piece, or almost 9 minutes to be honest. I'm going to keep this pretty short, but I wanted to give you some background on this gentleman and where his heart is. His heart's with the people of the world, his neighbor, his enemy. He's good people. Very good people. And I've learned so much from him, and I'm not the only one. If you want to contact me privately, I can give you the links to his online schools, his work that he's done in Guam, and like shortwave radio pieces. They're still up there. You can still listen to them. And the words and the pages of the Bible are eternal. And I think for the most part, I haven't found anything else. I think the Bible exhorts life and not death. Love and not fear. Hope and not despair. Do not fall into the depths of despair. Remember, there is a power greater than you that loves and cares for you. I'm going to play the piece now. I thank you for being here and listening. And I'll say a few words afterwards and I'll conclude this program. So here is my family member, my beloved family member, who I have to email more than I get to talk to, because he's all over the world. So, here we go.
As I sit there and pray before I get up here, I just say to myself, Lord, who happens to be here today? Who is struggling with significance, purpose? Who is having to fight off the attacks of why me, why now, why this? How many lonely, hurting, confused, wounded believers and unbelievers are there today? I believe that God has a word for you. It's certainly not a word from me. It's a word from His book. I hope you will try to put yourself into this Psalm of David. David is not going to talk about Israel. David is not going to talk about historical acts. David is going to talk about his personal knowledge and conviction about God. And I hope that you can put your life in here. I mean, I think Paul had it right. 1 Corinthians 13, you can kind of paraphrase him. We walk through a dark fog right now. We look at life and we just go, this just doesn't make sense. Why this? And yet it has been my experience that what I thought was so good and so of God, it hadn't been too many months or years I look back and say, that was a disaster. But that which I thought was coming from evil people or bad circumstances or whatever you want to call it, it hadn't been too long till I look back in that and say, you know, as painful as that was, that has made me closer to God. As painful as that was, I'm stronger today. As painful as that was, I see God's purpose in that as I look back, though I could not see it in the fog of the immediate, the fog of the why. And I don't think it's bad to ask whys, but I guess I'm asking you to open yourself up today and let God speak to you to the deepest needs of your heart and mind, of your family, of your goals, of your plans. I guess I'm asking you to hear the word of the Lord as it comes from Psalm 139. Is there a purpose for the individual? Does God care for the individual, or is God just involved with the big events? Well, amazing enough, I think He cares for the big events and the individual. And it's texts like this that bring home that truth. Now, when in David's life this was written, I don't know. I remember as a young child coming home from church on one Sunday night. And I remember looking up at the Milky Way in Houston. There wasn't a lot of street lights then. And it was so vast and so awesome. I don't know what the preacher preached on. I don't know what happened that night. But I remember looking up and for the first time in my life, not being afraid of God and feeling like He was with me. All these years that stuck. I just wonder if David out with those sheep, those nights in the pasture land alone, maybe this was the experience that caused him to think about God. If I had to characterize this first stanza, it would be God knows me. The concept in Hebrew is much more intimate. It's a knowledge of persons. It's an intimacy factor. Adam knew Eve and she conceived, Genesis 4:1. Jeremiah 1:5, before you were born, I knew you and called you to be a prophet to the nations. It's an intimacy factor. And so we're going to talk about God's knowledge of the individual. Search me, O God. Well, that's exactly how this psalm starts. Search me, O Yahweh, and know me. Now, what is he saying? This word search is the idea of digging into the earth about something. God, dig into me. Know me intimately. God, be fully acquainted. I often think of my life as a house with no roof. A book fully open to the Lord. We don't have to tell the Lord what we're doing. We just have to tell Him why and that we won't anymore. I mean, our lives are open books. I guess what amazes me, He knows us and still wants us to be a part of the family. I guess that's what amazes me, is the knowledge is linked with compassion, and the knowledge is inclusive with all of our sins and problems and doubts and fears and personal rebellions and intentional sin. God still wants us to be a part of His family. He knows us and still loves us. Thou dost know when I sit down and when I rise up. Thou dost understand my thought from afar. Thou dost scrutinize my path and my lying down. Thou art intimately acquainted with all of my ways. God is preparing you. He wants to use you. Your life is not by chance or luck or fate or happenstance or maybe or could be. If the Bible is true, you have an integral, personal, individual place. But you got to come to know it. You got to come to receive it. You got to come to walk daily in it. This same little book that I like so much says that faith does not know that it has wings until it's knocked off its feet. Has something knocked you off your feet? Would you let the wings of the Word of God take your wounded, fearful heart to the very throne of the one who knows you, is with you, made you, and will not leave you?
My heart and my soul, I give you control. Consume me from the inside out, Lord. Let justice and praise become my embrace, to love you from the inside out.
Who knows you, is with you, made you, and will not leave you.
Yeah, my heart and my soul, I give you control. Consume me from the inside out, Lord. Let justice and praise become my embrace, to love you from the inside out.
Those are very good words. I always tell people, if I've done some, I don't know what you want to call it, what do they call it, mysticism, and I've done a lot of different things throughout my life, and I've always counseled people. And if I could always work this into the conversation, it seemed to help. And what I chose to work in the conversation was this: that you're not alone. And that you in your human form, with all your graces and all your faults, you are loved. Thank you for listening.